Hey, Michelle with Treecat here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're watching this. I hope you're doing well today. What a week it's been, right? We here at Treecat, we're on full whack-a-mode this week because, well, there was a big thing that happened. The Amazon thing that happened, right? AWS, there was an issue. Some programmer, I guess, on the East Coast, on their East Coast region, did something with their DNS and basically caused, I don't know how many people, it's like 200 companies, 40 million or 4 million users to lose like 15 to 20 hours of their internet, their cloud connectivity. So that was kind of a big deal, right? Why is this important to you? Well, I don't know if you were affected by it. Here at Treecat, we did not get directly impacted because we're not, part of that East Coast region, and we're not part of that cloud. So luckily, we weren't impacted in that way, but we were impacted indirectly for sure. Because this week, the week of October 20th through October 25th, 27th, I guess, experienced the largest amount of bug reports, reversion reports, and glitch reports that we've ever experienced in the history of Treecat. So yeah, the good news is that our development team was right on it. And I'm so proud of the way they responded, how fast they responded. We were able to get some of these bug reports done within hours, some of them within a day, and we're still working on a few more. But I think, we got to give ourselves a little pat on the back because, I'm just super impressed with how well our team responded to what was going on. Because it is, as much as you guys might not realize it, a lot of companies are dependent on microservices or open source libraries or things like DNS, right? And when something happens there, it causes a cascade effect or like a domino effect. And so the thing is that you have to respond, right? It may be outside of your control, but you have to respond so that your users don't experience interruption in service. And so, as much as it pained us to have to get all these, bug requests, reversion requests, or bug reports, reversion reports, glitch reports, it was really important it's how you respond, right? It's, do you respond? How do you respond? How quickly do you respond? And so I'm really proud of our team. If you're watching and if you're part of the Treecat team that had to respond this week, thank you. I just want to give you a big hug. And if it were up to me, October 20th would become National Hug Your Programmer Day or Thank Your Programmer Day, right? Because honestly, it's one thing to be a vibe coder and just create a bunch of code, but it's another thing, which we don't do, by the way, but it's another thing to actually be able to debug and quickly respond and then communicate that to us so that we can respond to our customers. So, yeah. So, and you might not realize the amount, as just an end user of any service, right? Of any software service, not just Treecat, but any software service that's out there is really reliant. And there's such an interdependency, right? On microservices, on open source libraries, on things like DNS. Now, the bigger companies like your Microsofts, your Amazons, they develop microservices in-house. So that might not affect them, but what does affect them is changes to open source libraries, changes to the little things like DNS registry errors or whatever happened with Amazon. So there's just a lot of interdependencies and at Treecat, so we have interdependencies with these microservices that we use because we aren't a big enough company to develop our own in-house. We have a lot of interdependencies on just like the big companies do, because let me let you in on a little secret. If you don't think that Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, IBM, Google don't use these things, they do. They use open source libraries, and they are going to be affected with any changes on these open source libraries. It's just a fact. And of course, they use things like DNS. You can't develop those things in-house, right? You have to be dependent. There are dependencies. There are interdependencies, and there are interconnectedness. That's just the era that we're in. That's just the state of state of things, right? So, I'm sure that these big companies like Amazon and Google, they will continue to harden their systems. I'm sure they're putting in logic, that prevents, developers from doing little, errors or whatever they did, making little errors like that. Who knows? But they'll figure it out. But it's not going to change the fact that we're all sort of interdependent. We're all sort of dependent on other things and have this interconnectedness. And so the bottom line is we're going to continue to here at Treecat to respond to our users, to get those bug reports in. Thank you, by the way, if you were one of our users who contacted us with a bug report, a reversion report, or a glitch report. We really appreciate you. And I want to give a big shout out to Willie, because he was like on top of everything. And he was like, hey, this isn't right, or this isn't working, or whatever. So thank you, Willie. Shout out to Willie, man. He was all over it. New user. Not the best week to start using Treecat, but anyways, hopefully he'll stick with it. And one of the things that we did hear from our customers is like, wow, we really appreciate you, like your responsiveness, because apparently they don't have that responsiveness with other companies that they've worked with in the past. So you're welcome. And we're going to continue to, do the best we can, responding to your requests, bug reports, reversion reports, glitch reports. So keep coming to us with, right? You might say, oh, I don't want to bother them, but no, it's not a bother at all. It actually is really helpful. So it's kind of like, with YouTube. I think YouTubers, people who are content creators, are happy when people give them a thumbs up, but they're also happy when people give them a thumbs down, because it helps them, right? It helps helps them with the algorithm. But for like a software development team, it helps us to harden our system and make it better and make the experience better for everyone. So yeah, shout out to everybody. Thanks again, guys. If you took the time out of your day to send us a bug report, a reversion report, a glitch report, we appreciate you. All right, enough about that. Yeah, so let's get into some other stuff that I wanted to talk about today. And that is, I had a user question actually that I wanted to answer. So by the way, the chat lines are open. So if you have a question, feel free to post it. But a lot of people aren't up at this time of day, and they sleep in, so they might not be watching. But if you're watching and you want to pose a question, feel free. So, because I've got it here, so I can on my tablet, so I can see all the myriad questions that could come in. But here's a question from that we got that I thought was worth answering. The question is, hey, Poshmark recently changed its search algorithm, right? And it went from being a just-in search algorithm to more of a agentic way of that their customers can search for items, which is a good thing, right? I've definitely noticed more sales on Poshmark since they implemented this. So, but it does change how items are being discovered. So that changes how we list things, and that changes the way we do things, right? So the question is, are you still sharing your Poshmark closet? And the answer is yes, I am still sharing my Poshmark closet. Why? Because it still keeps your items, it still keeps activity showing. And activity, we know that activity is important to these marketplaces, and it's also important to buyers. They want to know that your closet is active. They want to know that they're not going to order something from you and then never receive anything because you're an inactive closet. So keeping, your closet active, still super important. Let's see, Posh parties. They're still doing Posh parties. And so sharing at Posh parties is still really important. So I have my bot sharing at Posh parties. It's still super important. And what was the third thing? Keeps closets active. And, yeah, well, I'm actually still receiving notifications on items, that haven't been shared in a while. So I'm still getting notifications from Poshmark. Hey, you haven't shared this in a while. Do you want to share this? So they're obviously still notifying that we still need to be sharing. So anyways, yes, I'm still sharing, but I'm also putting a lot more importance to my listings and my photos, because now those are part of the way items are getting discovered, right? Because they moved to more of an agentic search algorithm, according to what they've posted. And so they're looking to make sure that your photos are crisp and clear and don't have a lot of background noise. They're making sure that you filled out all of the item specifics, right? And that so users are discovering your items differently, but they're still doing things so that you still need to share, like at parties, and you still need to have an active store. And sharing is just one of those ways that will enable that, right? And so the answer is yes, I am still sharing. And I think, you should too. Until we hear otherwise, until we hear that they're eliminating parties and they're eliminating the need to have an active store, I think it's important. And the fact that, Treecat is just like a set it and forget it sharing thing just makes it like a no-brainer, and it doesn't cost you anything if you're cross-listing. So, because as you know, one feature unlocks them all. So if you cross-listed it with Treecat, you can then share it for free. You can delist, relist it for free. Although I'm not doing that on Poshmark right now, but I am doing it on Mercari and eBay. You can, what are the other billable actions? Sharing, delist, relist, cross-listing. Oh, and the white background remover and the photo editing. So yeah, so all those things become free when you utilize one billable action. All the other billable actions are free. All right. Third thing I wanted to talk about. What is coming up, right? So this week we had to kind of put some of our future looking development on hold because we were just so busy responding to bug reports and reversion reports and glitch reports. But we did get something put into production, not in production, something that's on our what do you call it? Dev area. But it's not in production yet. And it's a new feature. So this is like a sneak peek. I want to give you just a sneak peek of a new feature that will go live next week. And it is called bulk editing. It's a bulk editing tool. So if you've ever wanted to or needed to edit a bunch of items in bulk to make changes in bulk, you can now do that. So, so what you do, I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. Okay. Hopefully you can still see that. So what you do if you want to use this bulk editing tool, which will go live next week, go into production next week, is you just select the items that you want to make the bulk changes to. Okay, and maybe I'll select some that are down here as well. And maybe my intention is to change only a few things, but there's options. So there's this new button here that says bulk edit 8 items. So I've selected the items that I want to bulk edit, and I click on it. And then there I have options. So you don't have to do all of these things. You can do some of them. You can just do one of them. But the options are, let me make this a little bit bigger. You can, oops, I just made it smaller. There we go. You can change the price. Okay. Now this will get optimized in the future, but for the first iteration of it, it lets you change the price to the same price for all of them. Okay. So let's say I wanted to change all of these items that I just selected to be $16.97. I could certainly do that. And it will then change all those items to that price. Now in the future, we'll have more sort of repricing. So you can choose the percentage or the dollar or cent amount. But right now, it's just like a bulk. Yeah. You can also select the marketplace. Oh, yeah, you can select. Oh, that's the other thing is you can select marketplaces. I was just reminded about that. So you can go and say, oh, I just want only on eBay. You can say, I just want it on eBay to change these things, or just on Mercari to change the price to this. So you could just say, actually just want to change, or actually you would do that before you select the items. So select the items, right? And then select the marketplace. Let's see here. bulk edit, select the marketplace that you want to make the changes on, or select all of them. Actually, I don't know. Can you select all of them, or is it just marketplace at a time? I don't know. Let's, Mr. Treecat, you'll have to tell me if it's one marketplace at a time. Okay, so you can make changes one marketplace at a time. So let's say on eBay, I'm going to change all my prices to like $16.97. And so then you just say apply to selected items. Or let's say like on Mercari, those items that I selected, I can say on Mercari, I'm going to change the category. So I'm going to change the category to women's underwear, all underwear. And that's going to be what I'm going to change. That's the change I'm going to make. Or let's say you go and you say, I want to take those same items. And on Poshmark, I'm going to change the category to women, intimates and sleepwear, and then shapewear, right? So there's those options as well. Or you could be like, hey, on Whatnot, I want to change it to like maybe it does contain hazardous materials or what have you. It's very flexible. It's very there's a lot of things that you can change. And this is just the first iteration of this bulk change. So you'll be able to try that out next week. And anyways, to apply it, you just click the apply to selected items button, and that's how it will work. So it's who is this going to be helpful for? Well, I think it will be helpful for big users who have a lot of the similar items, or even small users who might have a lot of similar items and they need to make large changes in bulk. So anyways, that's really cool. We're still, constantly upgrading, making things better, adding new features, in addition to responding to, bug reports that may come up and that may need to have, all hands on deck. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to keep this short and sweet and remind you to hug a programmer if you have one in your life and tell them thank you, because I feel like it's kind of a thankless role sometimes, and they just do such a good job. So again, shout out to the Treecat development team for doing such a great job this week. Shout out to all of our customers who took the time to do a bug report or a reversion report or a glitch report. We appreciate you. And we're going to keep on keeping on. So we hope to see you guys next week on some Treecat chat. And until then, have a great weekend and mahalo. Bye.